Welcome back to Her Story, the podcast brought to you by Salty Vixen, where we celebrate the fierce, the forgotten, and the fearless, those who built the foundation, broke the barriers, and carried the torch when no one else would. This February, during Black History Month, we're honoring the legends who shaped justice, equality, and hope in America. Today is a special edition. While our series centers on the extraordinary women of Black history, some stories intersect so powerfully with theirs that they must be shared. Today I am deeply honored to speak about a man whose life and work amplified the voices of so many, including the women who stood beside him. Rev. Jesse Louis Jackson, SR. Civil rights leader, moral voice, presidential candidate, and relentless advocate for the marginalized. Rev. Jackson passed away this morning, February 17, 2026, at the age of 84, peacefully at home in Chicago, surrounded by his family, after more than a decade battling progressive supranuclear palsy. His departure closes a chapter, but his influence endures, especially as we reflect this month on the ongoing fight for dignity and power. Born Jesse Louis Burns on October 8, 1941 in Greenville, South Carolina, amid the rigid oppression of Jim Crow, Jackson grew up in a world that tried to confine Black ambition. His mother, Helen Burns, was only 16, a high school student facing an unplanned pregnancy. His biological father, Noah Louis Robinson, a married neighbor and former boxer, offered limited involvement. Helen married Charles Henry Jackson, a postal worker, who adopted Jesse in his teens and gave him the surname that would one day echo through history. Life in Greenville meant segregated schools, separate facilities, and constant reminders of inequality. Jackson later recalled the taunts about his birth, but he channeled adversity into resolve. "I was born in the slum, but the slum wasn't born in me." At Sterling High School he shone, class president, varsity athlete in football, basketball, and baseball. In 1959, the Chicago White Sox offered him a minor league contract, but he chose college, prioritizing education as the path forward. At the University of Illinois on a football scholarship, he encountered bias that limited his role as quarterback. He transferred to North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, thriving as quarterback, student body president, and sociology graduate in 1964. Greensboro pulsed with change. The 1960 Woolworth sit-ins had sparked a student movement. Jackson joined protests, voter drives, and boycotts, learning the discipline of nonviolence and the strength of unified action. He attended Chicago Theological Seminary, but the civil rights struggle pulled him away. He completed his Master of Divinity years later. Ordained a Baptist minister in 1968, he marched in Selma in 1965 with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and joined the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. King appointed him to lead Operation Breadbasket in Chicago in 1966, where Jackson used boycotts to open jobs and contracts for Black communities, thousands of positions, millions in economic gains. The assassination of Dr. King on April 4, 1968, hit hard. Jackson was at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis in the courtyard below the balcony. He helped sustain the Poor People's Campaign, building Resurrection City to spotlight poverty. When tensions rose within SCLC, Jackson founded Operation Push in 1971, People United to Serve Humanity, expanding economic justice, education, voter registration, and youth empowerment. In 1984, he formed the National Rainbow Coalition, uniting Black, Latino, Asian American, Native American, poor white, women, labor, and LGBTQ+ groups against common struggles. The rainbow stood for inclusive justice, economic fairness, peace, civil rights. That year, Jackson ran for president, the first Black candidate with a viable national effort. He won Southern primaries, drew 3.3 million votes, and delivered an unforgettable Democratic Convention speech. America as a quilt, many patches, many pieces, many colors, many sizes, all woven and held together by a common thread. The 1988 campaign went further. 11 primary victories, nearly 7 million votes, second in delegates. He mobilized millions of new voters and shifted the Democratic agenda leftward. Globally, Jackson secured releases, LT, Robert Goodman from Syria 1983, Americans from Cuba 1984, hostages from Iraq 1990, POWs from Yugoslavia 1999. He advocated for African democracy and opposed unjust wars. Married to Jacqueline Brown since 1962, he raised 5 children, Santita Jesse Jr., Jonathan Youssef Jacqueline, balancing family with public life. Controversies arose, a 1984 remark straining Jewish relations, he apologized. A 2001 personal issue, critiques met with reflection, but faith as a Baptist minister anchored him. Health declined, Parkinson. In 2017, later PSB. He stepped from Rainbow Push leadership in 2023, but remained a symbol of endurance. His words live on, keep hope alive. If my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it, then I know I can achieve it. Never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up. And the affirmation he led, I am somebody. Rev Jackson walked alongside women like Fannie Lou Hamer, Shirley Chisholm, and Coretta Scott King, amplifying their calls while demanding economic and political power for all. In this Black History Month, as we honor the women who sustained the movement, we recognize men like Jackson who helped carry it forward. Rest in power, Rev Jackson. Your work continues in every voice raised for justice. Thank you for joining this special edition of Her Story. Share if it resonated, subscribe, and let's keep these stories alive. Until next time, stay fierce, stay fearless. Love, Salty Vixen.